Breaking, latest, mystery drones, updates. Hey, everybody. How the heck are you? Beautiful day today here in southern Colorado. It's almost January. No snow's on the ground, and it's going to be 53 degrees today. That's what I'm talking about. But that's not what we're here to talk about today. We're here to get into the latest sightings of these mystery drones and what's being done about it. If you just let me know we are live and that the audio is okay, that would be much appreciated. We have sometimes some interference during the podcast, so we'll get right into it. Nanu. Actually, one of the first comments that I'm reading in the chat that's referencing these mystery drones is, according to reports, there have been 17 different locations where mystery drones have been spotted, and these locations are near farmland that allegedly China owns. So this is according to the reports. I find that very peculiar, and you might as well. But let's look at the latest reports, what's going on. We've got a lot of news to talk about today, so I would say buckle up, Buttercup, because we're going to get into, we now officially have a new location for the magnetic North Pole. We're going to talk about some atmospheric rivers, some extreme weather conditions. Later on into the presentation, we're going to talk about cockroach swarms that are controlled by, they're basically cyborg cockroaches. So if you were scared of cockroaches, wait until you see the invasion of cyborg cockroaches. And I'm not joking. It's pretty wild. It sounds like something out of a science fiction movie, but as I've brought up before, some people think that we're in a version of like Buck Rogers meets the Jetsons and maybe a little bit of Hellraiser in there. Some Star Wars, Star Trek, yeah. We've got New Jersey, New York, Pennsylvania, Virginia, Maryland, Massachusetts, Ohio, Texas, Utah, also Germany, and the United Kingdom thus far, at least, with reports of mystery drones and possibly UAPs. Now, not just these quadcopters that fly around with FAA lights. There's been reports of other mysterious drones. We're going to talk about that in a minute. I do want to give a huge shout out to tinfoilcap.co. If you want EMF protection from head to toe, that's where you go. Tinfoilcap.co. Faraday cages for your phones. We have stickers that you can put on electronic devices to lower the electromagnetic frequencies that are being emitted. And we also have clothing that will block different frequencies all the way up to 5G, as well as the extremely low frequencies. And this is available at tinfoilcap.co. Okay, let's go. I'm sure you read, this is hot off the press, in Texas, white settlement, multiple sightings near military installations, prompting investigations by local police and federal authorities. The governor of Oklahoma just announced they're going to roll out some anti-drone technologies. Gulf Coast residents reported seeing dozens of drones flying over the area. California, there's been drones observed in several locations. The recent return of the drones over Wright-Patterson Air Force Base, which is actually where, this is really interesting. So they had to shut down airspace several days ago over Wright-Patterson Air Force Base because of these drone swarms. And then they show up again several days later. Did you know that one of the main UFO operations and the people that ran it in the military back in the day, like Project Blue Book, that's Wright-Patterson Air Force Base. And now they've got drones shutting down the airspace over Wright-Patterson Air Force Base, and they're calling them drones. Are they just drones? I'm not convinced. Now, what's interesting is, I think that we need to remember there's not a one-stop shop. There's not a single answer for all of these sightings. People have to have one answer a lot of times because that's the way that they're genetically created and that's the way that they're brought up. And there's a lot more to the story, folks. There's a multitude of answers here. It's probably all of the above versus just one answer because there's too many different descriptions of different types of drones and aerial vehicles, unmanned aerial vehicles, and UAPs as well. Also, there are reports of certain UAPs flying over vehicles that changed the clock. There was electronic disturbance, so some type of electronic frequencies disturbing the frequencies that were being emitted through that radio. Hill Air Force Base recently confirmed sightings near the base with reports from various towns, including Weber County and Utah County. Reports in Oklahoma, reports in Florida, Massachusetts. I mean, the list is growing. There was a recent drone swarm over Germany at a military base. I think a couple of different bases in Germany, as well as 3 different Royal Air Force bases in the United Kingdom. What is the connection here? Like, what do all of these bases have in common? They're all U.S. bases. They're all U.S. military, even if they're overseas. There was a report of a Chinese airport that got shut down a while ago because of drone swarms. That's interesting. We need to find more reports of international incidents at locations that are not connected to the U.S. military, especially if they're the same types of drones and same characteristics. The militaries around the world are working on substantial technologies with vertical takeoff and hypersonic drones. We'll talk about that here in a little bit. There has been heightened security and scrutiny, and there are talks at certain locations now to potentially have authority to use force to take some of these drones down. Now let's go up here. Let's start at the top. This is pretty cool. Not for people that have to update GPS, though. Earth's magnetic pole officially changed position. Read about it, Yahoo, Science Alert. The Earth's magnetic North Pole has officially changed position, moving approximately 2,250 kilometers from its original location in Canada towards Russia. The shift was confirmed with the release of the World Magnetic Model for 2025, and that was released just last week, December 17th, which will be used for navigation and other applications until late 2029. The movement rate, the magnetic North Pole's movement, has slowed recently, now shifting at a rate of about 35 kilometers per year, down from previous rates of 60 kilometers a year observed between 1990 and 2005. The geographic versus the magnetic north, unlike fixed geographic North Poles, which is located at 90 degrees north latitude, the magnetic North Pole is dynamic and influenced by the movement of molten metals in the Earth's outer core, so they say. The motion generates the planet's magnetic field. Regular updates to the World Magnetic Model are crucial for navigation systems used in ships, aircraft, and GPS devices. The latest model incorporates data from satellites and ground-based observatories to ensure accuracy. So, some of the implications in the change of the magnetic North Pole's position necessitates recalibrations, nanu, in navigational systems, which are essential for accurate orientation in various technologies. This update is part of a routine 5-year cycle aimed at maintaining the reliability of navigation tools worldwide. Do you remember about, was it 8 years ago, maybe it was a little bit longer than that, 10 years ago, when there was a lot of extreme weather going on to the point of certain roads, I think in the UK, or maybe it was Ireland or Scotland, melted basically. And there were reports of people getting sunburnt in a matter of seconds and versus what would normally take hours. And then they also had to recalibrate a whole bunch of GPS systems back then. And the flights were, the flight patterns were off at certain airports. There was a lot of news, and this wasn't that long ago. And it also makes me question, with the recent studies and data suggesting the Earth's inner core has slowed to where they're analyzing these seismic waves to peer into the Earth. Obviously, they're not in the core, they're not at the core, so they're using these seismic waves, this data and earthquake data, which shows that the Earth has like a core within the core, and it's kind of like globular, and it's slowing down, and it's slowing down at a point where some say it could potentially reverse. And then we look at the magnetosphere and the way that the it's got to be connected somehow. The magnetosphere is so much more, it's changed a lot over the past 30 years, at least what I've observed. And the sun itself seems to be much brighter. And I don't think it's necessarily based on just the sun. It's the sun and the magnetosphere and the ionosphere and the Earth's atmosphere. So give you an example. Like if you remember when the sun was yellow back in the day, or orange, and now you look, the sun is white. Well, if you sunset, when the sun starts to go down, and if you've got the atmospheric conditions right, because of the curvature, and yes, because of the curvature, you have a more intense atmosphere at this location as the sun's coming down. So the sun appears more yellowish, more orange like it used to. It's not as white. And it's not because the sun is changing color, it's because of the curvature. You have more atmosphere protecting you from that radiation and that light that's coming in from the sun. So you will notice a difference during the sunset versus when the sun is, like in the apex of the sky. Let's go to the next article, referencing the drone invasion. This is Oklahoma. Governor Stitt addressed unexplained drone activity and announces plans to deploy detection systems. Notice how a lot of governors and a lot of politicians are coming out now, and this is happening in multiple states. It's like, whether or not we're getting, well, clearly they're playing ping pong with the stories they're telling us, because we have a multitude of reports, and it's creating this confusion in the public, in the news, and the minds of most people, because there's so many different things that they're saying that are contradicting each other, which is psychological conditioning in many ways. If you study psychology and some of the techniques used previously with different applications, like if you've heard of the MK stuff, if we take out the extreme levels of that, but what was learned through those technologies and through that psychological conditioning, you can use social media now to condition the minds. And I'm looking at the news and all these different reports. First it's New Jersey, it's New York, end of 2023, it's Langley, but then the reports start coming out right after the elections, especially report after report after report. And then the symbology and the numerology incorporated with these news articles, especially with the number 17. You're going to notice the number 17 a lot now in the news, and right about the time of this transfer of power. And so you'll notice in the news, they continue to say, and they make it very clear, whenever they reference Trump, they do not reference him as the president. They reference him as president-elect. And, I understand why they're doing that, but I think there's more than one reason, and you might start to think about that as well. But let's go back to these drone sightings. New York, New Jersey, Langley, Ohio, Texas, Utah, and now we've got like the crown jewel of military bases on the East Coast, Langley. So we've got reports 71 years after the UFO flap in 1952, where UFOs fly over the Capitol for 17 days. We go 71 years later, the end of 2023, Langley, it's 17 days again. Then reports come out, they're 20-foot drones. They're flying in path at about 3,000 to 4,000 feet elevation at approximately 100 miles an hour. And they did it for 17 days, allegedly. Then we hear reports of drones shooting out of the ocean that have different characteristics, but we only hear the news articles about how they're captured via police body camera. We don't see that footage. However, folks, remember just a few days ago, I think there was a congressional hearing. There was an official hearing on these drones that was a classified hearing. Now think about that for a moment. Why are they going to have a classified hearing on drones if there's no alarm? Why are they creating drone centers with anti-drone technologies and telling the public about it and releasing these technologies to different locations and creating a stir with the public so the public demands they release these technologies at this time? Think about the time. Very, very peculiar timing. The world is hot right now. Like, it is almost on fire. Many places are. If there's truth to the reports that there's nothing to worry about, there's no signs of alarm, why are they releasing these technologies? Unless they are preparing for something. This could be used to implement and prepare for something that could be far more nefarious. Prepare. How do you prepare? Well, let's create some confusion tactics while we prepare so that we don't give away all our cards to the public or to other sectors. They're getting ready for something. And look at what's going on right now with the drone technologies that China is sharing with the world publicly. They're working on hypersonic drones. There was a recent show where they had hundreds of drones in the air for this drone show, and they all started falling out of the sky. And I questioned why that happened and who did that. Just found out recently that we don't need to worry about these drone incursions because Elon's brother owns a drone company. So he's going to protect us. We're going to call up drone muskers. We need help. Forget Ghostbusters. We got drone muskers. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. So Kevin Stitt of Oklahoma has announced a proactive response to the recent surge of unexplained drone activity across the nation, including his state. December 16, 2024, he directed the procurement of mobile unmanned aircraft systems, detection systems to assist law enforcement in monitoring drone operations, particularly near critical infrastructure. If we don't want to cause alarm, folks, what do? Detections, they're hobbies. Don't worry about it. All the stuff that we're looking at, man, it's either an airplane, it's a hobby drone, or it's swamp gas from Uranus. Detection systems implementation. The state will begin acquiring mobile UAS detection systems to help law enforcement track drone activity effectively while adhering to federal regulations that classify drones as aircraft and prohibit their destruction or disabling. There's been numerous reports, obviously, New York, New Jersey, Pennsylvania, and multiple states. And so I guess Oklahoma is just going to be proactive. Stitt emphasized the importance of ensuring public safety while allowing the drone industry to flourish in Oklahoma. He stated, this technology is new, and because of that, we don't have the measures in place to ensure Oklahomans are protected from those who would use this technology to potentially harm others. Commissioner Tim Tipton, Oklahoma's Commissioner of Public Safety, acknowledged the unsettling nature of the drone activity reported nationwide. He noted that while Oklahoma has seen limited incidents, the state wants to be prepared for any escalation in drone-related issues. I mean, are you thinking what I'm thinking right now? The announcement aligns with a broader national concern regarding drone activities. Federal agencies such as the Department of Homeland Security and the FBI have stated they support state efforts in deploying advanced detection technologies. Of course they do. Latest updates on the atmospheric river, which could affect 8 different states. Watchers, Newsweek, local news. The current conditions, the first AR made landfall December 17th, bringing heavy precipitation and flooding risks to coastal Washington and northern Oregon. Rainfall totals are expected to reach between 10 and 20 inches in some areas, with stream gauges likely exceeding bankful levels, especially in western Washington and Oregon. I got family in western Washington, right on the coast. And they said, usually 2 inches is kind of the max out there. And just the other day, they got like 3 inches in a very short amount of time. So pretty intense. And it seems like it's getting more intense. Additional atmospheric rivers are forecast to arrive December 21st and 22nd, with significant snow accumulation expected in higher elevations of the Cascades. Freezing levels will rise, increasing runoff potential and flood risks due to rain falling on snow. This should be making mainstream news, and it's on Politico, AP News, Newsweek. Chinese hack of telecom firms is still happening. Recent developments indicate that the Chinese hacking campaign targeting U.S. telecommunications firms is still ongoing. With significant implications for national security, we've got an ongoing breach, potentially. Homeland Security Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas confirmed that the extensive hacking operation known as Salt Typhoon remains active and poses a serious threat to U.S. telecom networks. This operation has been described as one of the most significant intelligence breaches in U.S. history, affecting at least 8 major telecom companies and numerous others globally. The campaign began in late spring 2024 and has been linked to a Chinese government-affiliated hacking group. It aims to gain access to sensitive communications involving U.S. political leaders, national security data, and although officials believe that classified communications have not been compromised, the hackers have reportedly intercepted private messages and phone calls of various individuals, particularly those in government roles. So, the FBI and cybersecurity and infrastructure security agencies are actively investigating the breaches and assisting telecom companies in removing Chinese hackers from their networks. However, they have not provided a timeline for when this process will be completed. Officials have urged Americans to use encrypted communications to enhance their security against potential espionage. What are the impacts on telecommunications? Major carriers such as Verizon, T-Mobile, AT&T, among others targeted. The hackers have reported stolen large amounts of data, including call logs, metadata about communications, which could allow them to map out networks of influence among political figures. There you go. So, the U.S. Department of Defense and the Biden administration are taking significant actions in response to these extensive hacking campaigns by Chinese state-sponsored hackers targeting American telecommunication firms. This initiative follows the discovery of a major breach attributed to a group known as Salt Typhoon, which has infiltrated networks of multiple telecom companies, including major providers like Verizon, AT&T, and Lumen Technologies. So what are the retaliation measures? The Commerce Department has proposed banning the remaining operations of China Telecom Americas in the U.S., citing national security risks associated with its involvement in American telecom networks and cloud services. The company has been given 30 days to respond to the preliminary findings. The Salt Typhoon hacking operation is described as one of the most significant cyber espionage campaigns against the U.S., allowing for hackers to access sensitive communications, potentially gather intelligence on ongoing investigations. The breach reportedly affected about 150 high-value targets, including individuals associated with national security. So lawmakers are pushing for investigations into the DoD's communication security, highlighting failures to secure unclassified communications against foreign espionage. Senators have called for thorough examination of the department's reliance on unsecured networks, which has left it vulnerable to such attacks. Congress is moving forward with funding a program aimed at removing Chinese telecommunications equipment from U.S. networks, particularly targeting gear from companies like Huawei and ZTE. This Rip and Replace initiative is part of a broader effort to bolster cybersecurity against potential threats from Chinese technology. I remember like 13 years ago, back in that was like 2008, actually, like 15 years ago, 16 years ago, there was this, it was called Fishy Chips, because a bunch of defense contractors were looking for the cheapest manufacturer to create microchips and computer chips that were often put in sensitive technologies. And they then found out after many of these chips were installed in different computers and technologies that they could actually relay data back to sender, like backdoors that were embedded in these chips. And it was called Fishy Chips. So this has been going on for a long time. And it's not just the Chinese. I'm sure just about every nation is doing it, and to some degree. And that's why I think it's always good if you are going to be, if you want complete security or the best security possible for high level, top secret tech, government tech, military tech, etc., that should all be procured in-house. I mean, don't you think? Now, it's great to have international trade, but there are certain applications and there are certain technologies that you should leave in-house. And I think that's pretty obvious. So there's some of the greatest products are made from around the world. It's great that we can bring that in. But if you're going to have sensitive information, you need to do everything you can to secure that. And obviously, we know this. But this is really, really interesting. And this made the mainstream news, and then it kind of disappeared for a while. Not too long ago, there were these cables that were cut at the bottom of the sea. And not far from there is a Chinese vessel that's called Yipeng 3. So, Swedish police boarded the vessel as part of an investigation into possible involvement in the severing of 2 undersea cables in the Baltic Sea. This incident has raised significant concerns regarding potential sabotage, particularly in light of geopolitical tensions. So we've got these 2 damaged cables which connect Finland to Germany and Sweden to Lithuania. They were reportedly severed on November 17th and 18th. See, boom! Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Are you paying attention to the numbers here? When did we start seeing this mass influx of drones? November 18th. When were these cables cut? November 17th. When does South Korean president declare martial law? Or attempted to declare martial law? That happened around December 3rd. Are you starting to put this together? There's a lot going on right now. And it appears to me that certain forces are doing everything they can to keep people calm. Remain calm. Remain calm. We're with the government. We're here to help. We love you so much. So we've got these damaged cables for communications, November 17th, November 18th. Then we have an influx of drone invasions over military sites and sensitive sites, November 18th. The Yipeng 3rd was tracked sailing above these cables around the time of the incidents and has been anchored in the Kattegat since November 19th. Swedish police, December 19th, Swedish police were invited. Oh, they were invited aboard, folks. So, we'll go check it out a week later. We'll check it out a month later. I'm sure everything's still the same. I'm sure they haven't moved or hidden anything. They're inviting us onto the ship to look around a month later. Oh, man. Oh. So, December 19th, a month later, Swedish police were invited to aboard the Yipeng by the Chinese authorities to observe their investigation. Swedish officials clarified that their role was strictly observational, with no investigative powers granted during this operation. It's because they're in international waters, I guess. So, the ongoing inquiry into the cable cuts is being led by Swedish prosecutors who suspect sabotage. See, if there is a foreign government that is going out there and cutting cables for communications, they're going to know the laws and the rules and the laws of the land, the laws of the water, the international, aquatic, what is it? What do they call that exactly? You know what I'm talking about. So we're just here to look. We're just here to look around a month later. Thanks for inviting us on your ship. We just wanted to say hi. We just wanted to make sure everything's cool. We want to make sure you're not cutting any cables or anything. You guys aren't cutting any cables, are you? Oh, no. We've been fishing. Been chilling out here for a couple months just fishing. How's the fish? Oh, it's great, man. Look at all this. We're way above. We're way above what we thought. We're almost at quota. Pretty cool, right? So, all right, have a nice day. Just wanted to say hello. The boarding followed diplomatic discussions between Sweden and China, initiated after the cable damage occurred. Swedish Prime Minister UK Kristersson emphasized that there are no accusations against China, but cooperation is essential to ascertain what happened. Oh, man. Yeah. Intelligence from various Western nations suggests that cable cuts may have been intentional. German Defense Minister Boris Pistorius indicated that these incidents could be linked to broader security concerns stemming from Russia's actions in Ukraine. Investigators are examining whether the Yipeng 3rd deliberately dragged its anchor to sever the cables. They would never do that. It was an accident. Oops. Yeah. Right about the time that new missile was launched into Ukraine, right about the time Ukraine was given authority and technologies from the U.S. It's all coincidence. Don't worry. We're from the government. We're here to help. Ongoing investigations. Authorities from Sweden, Finland, Germany, and Denmark are collaborating on this investigation. The situation remains sensitive as it involves complex international relations and security implications in a region already fraught with tensions following previous incidents, nanny, involving critical infrastructure. So, no suspicion there. They just wanted to say hello. Now, did you know that NASA diverted an asteroid 2 years ago? This is pretty cool. How many people we got in the chat? Hello, all you beautiful, lovely souls. Thank you for being here with me. Hope you're all having a beautiful day today. All right, this was interesting. And for those that are worried about Comet Apophis or Asteroid Apophis slamming into Earth 2029, Friday the 13th, I would say, don't worry. We have the Space Force and space lasers to protect us. I'm not joking. 2 years ago, NASA successfully diverted the trajectory of an asteroid as part of the Double Asteroid Redirection Test DART mission, launched November 24th, 2021. The DART aimed to test a planetary defense technique against potential threats from near-Earth objects. So, what are some of the key details? September 26, 2022, DART collided with the asteroid Dimorphos, which is a moonlet of the larger asteroid Didymos. I'm not going to say it. Located approximately 11 million kilometers or 6.8 million miles from Earth, the spacecraft impacted. The sun is burning my retina out right now. This spacecraft impacted Dimorphos at a speed of about 14,000 miles an hour. The collision successfully altered Dimorphos' orbit around Didymos, shortening its orbital period by 32 minutes, significantly exceeding the mission's initial goal of a 73-second change. This demonstrated the effectiveness of using a kinetic impactor to change an asteroid's trajectory. Following the impact, astronomers utilized various telescopes to observe the changes in Dimorphos and its orbit. And the debris ejected from the impact dislodged approximately 37 boulders from Dimorphos' surface, which could pose future risks if similar deflection methods are employed on asteroids that might threaten Earth. Space Force will protect us. We got space lasers. We got drones with AI hooked up to Elon's brain and the quantum network. We're protected. DART marked humanity's first successful attempt to change the motion of a celestial body intentionally. This mission provided critical data for developing strategies to protect Earth from potential asteroid impacts in the future. Cool. So we now have a new method for planetary defense. Also, now we're going to have to figure out a way to divert these 37 different boulders that are hurtling towards Earth that could potentially cause problems. By solving a problem, they just created 37 more. It's cool. We're going to call up Elon. He'll take care of us. Earth life discovered by scientists inside. We'll just Neuralink him. Elon, hook me up, bro. Be right there. Thank you. Earth's life discovered by scientists inside an asteroid sample. You're doing a great job, Elon. Seriously, man. Recent research has revealed that a sample collected from the asteroid Ryugu was rapidly colonized by terrestrial microorganisms, highlighting the challenges of contamination in astrobiological studies. So they took a sample from an asteroid, and then they found Earth biology on it. And then they're like, well, that must have happened when we transferred it somehow. There was some type of biological intrusion. We didn't sanitize it enough. But I'm not convinced. I wouldn't be surprised if all asteroids have life of some microbiological life of some type. And they seed the galaxies. They seed the universe. And so it also tells me that there's a very strong chance human DNA is scattered throughout the universe. That's pretty cool. This probably isn't our first stop, folks. We were probably somewhere else before we were here as a species. This rewrites if there's a big if this life on this sample, on this asteroid sample, is from space and not contamination, that changes everything. And that's pretty dang cool. So the sample, which was collected 2019, returned to Earth December 2020, showed signs of microbial life shortly after being exposed to Earth's atmosphere. And it could have been when it was coming in, it like Earth's atmosphere, basically. That would make sense. Researchers observed filamentous structures resembling bacteria on the sample surface, indicating that terrestrial life had colonized it rapidly, even under strict contamination control measures. Now imagine you've got this exploding star or a planet or some type of celestial body that explodes, and it has life on that surface, some type of microbial life. And then as it travels through the universe and it captures different radiation sources and different frequencies, it would evolve. It would change. and life can survive in the universe. Look at tardigrades. I wouldn't be surprised if they're genetically modifying tardigrade technology, like tardigrade DNA in some type of human embryos in some lab somewhere in the Caribbean, and from some contractor that's outside of the governments that can work freely. I mean, clearly this is speculation, but I would not be surprised if there's some type of integration of a super being through tardigrade DNA and like that. What's that squid out there? Is it a squid or an octopus that can live forever because it regenerates its DNA? And then you could use artificial intelligence computer systems that are calculating quadrillions of floating points per second, put in the right code, put in the right prompts, and it could essentially help create and map out this super being that could travel the stars. That'd be pretty cool. Anyway, that's just, I'm having a fantasy here. Woo-wee. So we've got contamination evidence, they say. The study concluded that the microorganisms found were not extraterrestrial, but rather originated from Earth. The growth rate and morphology of the filaments matched known terrestrial microbes, suggesting contamination occurred during sample preparation or handling. Specifically, the population of these microorganisms increased significantly within days of exposure to the lab environment. Well, the lab environment's going to be a little bit different than in space, Bob. That's right, Billy. This discovery emphasizes the difficulty to ensuring that samples from celestial bodies remain uncontaminated. It raises questions about previous findings regarding organic compounds in asteroid samples and the implications for understanding life's origins on Earth and beyond. Yeah, like what if that was actually not from Earth? What if that was not from being contaminated when you moved the sample, but it was actually from space or from another planet or another star system? That's pretty cool. And that tells me, oh, there's this beautiful bluebird outside. Now that song's going through my head. I won't sing it, don't worry. The results underscore the need for enhanced protocols in future space missions aimed at collecting samples from asteroids or other celestial bodies. Ensuring the integrity of such samples is crucial for accurately assessing their potential to reveal insights into extraterrestrial life. It's not aliens. This, to me, is a beautiful article and remarkable, fascinating, makes me so happy. And it also makes me think about different traditions throughout the years and different burial practices and different means to travel and communicate with the afterlife and those on the other side. Recently, 13 ancient mummies adorned with gold tongues and glided fingernails. I thought they were gold fingernails. In a cemetery at the site of Oxyrhynchus, Egypt. If I said that wrong, I apologize. The significant discovery was made by a collaborative team of Spanish and Egyptian archaeologists led by Esther Pons Mulatto and Maite Mascourt. So these mummies date back to the Ptolemaic period, about 304 to 30 BC, a time when Egypt was ruled by a dynasty descended from one of Alexander the Great's generals. The evacuation revealed a burial shaft containing numerous mummies with gold tongues placed inside their mouths, believed to facilitate communication in the afterlife. So by having a gold tongue, because they believed the gods were gold essentially, like their blood was like this, like liquid gold, I think, as well, in certain rituals and practices and beliefs. But it was also metaphorical. So they would take their tongue and replace it with the gold tongue so that they could communicate in hopes of communicating with Osiris. How cool is that? I think that's pretty cool. Now, personally, well, I'll talk. Yeah, I'm not going to share that. But, people have different ideas on how they want to, when they pass, how they want to be buried, or, some people want to be cremated. Some people want to go out Valhalla style, and other means, but I think it's really neat that we go back even at a point in time when certain places in the world were in like a dark age. If they believed something or thought something that didn't fit with the belief of the church or the religious oversight or whatever that in that town, the consequences could be dire. And then you have other places in the world where you have these amazing beliefs that connect the people with the gods. And I don't think we truly understand some of these practices and rituals because we weren't there. So we're just looking at it from a different perspective. I think it's really beautiful. I think it's fascinating. And it's unfortunate that a lot of this information was lost and hidden and suppressed and manipulated when you have other spiritual beliefs or religious beliefs connected to governments and empires that basically overthrow entire nations, and then usurp them into the new way of life. I think of Rome. I think of ancient Rome bringing all these different cultures into their hegemony, like usurping them almost like the Borg. Now, if we could figure out a way to embrace as well and not just usurp and manipulate, but embrace and share and trade, I think that would be fascinating. But once again, I need to put the pipe down. I'm having a dream here. I have a dream. I have a vision. I see a beautiful future. The ancient Egyptians placed gold tongues in mummies as part of their funeral practices, believing that gold considered the flesh of the gods would help the deceased speak before Osiris, the god of the afterlife. This practice was intended to ensure that the deceased could communicate effectively in the next world. Alongside the gold tongues, archaeologists found 29 amulets, including scarab-shaped pieces and representations of various deities, such as Horus, Thoth, and Isis. That's really cool. These artifacts are thought to possess protective qualities and were integral to the burial customs of that era. So this does shed light on the burial practices and beliefs surrounding death and afterlife during that period, the Ptolemaic period. Experts suggest that the presence of multiple gold tongues indicates that these individuals may have belonged to higher social classes associated with temple cults. All right. So we've got the Chinese hypersonic drone launches. China recently showcased its advancements in hypersonic drone technology, particularly with the unveiling of the MD series. It's an unmanned aerial vehicle, or unmanned aerial vehicles, the MD-19, the MD-21, and the MD-22. Highlighted in a video released by the Chinese Academy of Sciences demonstrating the drone's capabilities and launch methods. They could be launched from high altitude platforms. That's very interesting, like balloons and other aircraft. What a great way to avoid capture. The MD-22, for example, achieves speeds of Mach 7. Are you out of your mind? Wow. They launched it from a space balloon and it's traveling at Mach 7. That would do a pretty good job of avoiding capture. Well, we can't get them because they're moving at Mach 7 and they're launched from space balloons, Bob. Duh. Like, that's some next-gen tech right there. It enhances the range and survivability against enemy defenses. Darn right it does. The MD-19 is particularly innovative as it can achieve hypersonic speeds and then land horizontally on conventional runways. This capability allows for reuse and reduces operational costs. This also contrasts with many hypersonic vehicles that are typically single use. So it sounds like most of these hypersonic drones, you're one and done. This thing can land like Elon's rockets can, and use it over and over again, like the Energizer Bunny. Strategic implications that recharge. The development of these drones reflects China's ambitions to enhance its military capabilities amid global strategic competition. The Pentagon has noted that China is likely operationalizing its hypersonic... China is likely operationalizing its hypersonic military aircraft, indicating a significant advancement in their technological prowess. The new classes of drones are designed to conduct deep surveillance missions into enemy territory, leveraging their high speeds and altitudes to evade detection. This capability parallels historical advancements in reconnaissance technology during the Cold War. So that doesn't sound like those 20-foot drones that are flying over Langley, like, hey, we're over here. How you doing? Can you see us? We just want you to know we're here. Doesn't sound like those kind of drones. Sounds like something that's moving so fast, it's going to be a blip in the radar. It's going to go, whip. It's gone. It's not going to be like da, 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 da. With flashing lights, like, you know, waving at people and dropping pamphlets. So they are on the cutting edge. Now, we have high-tech radar used in Ukraine and Russian war, which is going to be deployed for these drones here in the U.S. And they're doing that for space aliens, folks, and they're doing that because the hobbyists out there, they got to get this new. See, this is very telling. They're releasing technologies in the States and asking for technologies in the States to stop drones. Are you starting to see what's going on here? It's all swamp gas. So we've got this high technology radar system, which is being deployed in northeastern U.S. to investigate a series of mysterious drone sightings reported over cities like New York, New Jersey. This follows requests from New York Senator Chuck Schumer and Governor Kathy Hochul to the U.S. Department of Homeland Security for the deployment of the Robin radar system. Batman made that in his cave, and he shared it with Robin, and Robin shared it with the Department of Homeland Security. Boom. The Robin radar system, which has been effective in detecting drones on the battlefield in Ukraine, will assist in identifying, tracking unmanned aerial vehicles that have been spotted flying over urban areas since mid-November of 2024. These sightings have caused concern among residents and officials alike. It is designed to provide 360-degree coverage. It can detect small, fast-moving drones at altitudes of 2 or 3 kilometers, which is 1 or 2 miles. It can also read a radar drone frequency or a drone radar frequency. It can read a drone's radio frequency, helping to identify its characteristics and potential remote identification. It's mobile, it's versatile, lightweight, and it has a mobile design. It can be mounted on vehicles, police cruisers, or other vehicles for dynamic deployment, and that gives it effectiveness in various operational environments. This technology has been used in addressing drone-related security concerns. Okay, so this use of radar technology marks a significant step in addressing drone-related security concerns domestically, drawing from lessons learned in military applications overseas, and the successful application of such technology could enhance situational preparedness and response capabilities against potential threats posed by unidentified drones. This sounds like the ultimate deterrent in a drone. If you thought Mach 6 or Mach 7 was fast, that's got nothing on this bad boy. This is a U.S. hypersonic missile system that can reach speeds of Mach 20. Whoa. That's like Flash. Meow. Mach 20. The U.S. is advancing several hypersonic weapon systems, including the AGM-183 air-launched rapid response weapon, expected to exceed speeds of over 15,000 miles an hour, a range of approximately 925 kilometers. Then you have a long-range hypersonic weapon system developed by the Army that can strike targets at a distance of 2,253 kilometers with high precision. So the Russian countermeasures, like the S-500 integrated air defense system and the Yenisei radar, are intended to counter emerging hypersonic threats. The introduction of the Mach 20 missiles could significantly alter the balance of power in military engagements, allowing the U.S. to bypass or overwhelm Russian anti-access area denial strategies. This shift underscores the importance of hypersonic technology in modern warfare and its potential implications on global security dynamics. Whoa! We've got 2,000 drones that just fell from the sky. December 8th, 2024, a dramatic incident occurred during a drone firework display in Guangzhou, Fujian province, China. Approximately 600 to 2,000 drones malfunctioned and fell from the sky. This event was part of an artistic performance titled Red Cell, created by renowned artist Kai Guokang, which aimed to celebrate the city's culture and history. So there were significant disruptions, many drones losing control mid-performance. Some crashed into the ground, others plunged into the sea. Spectators were quite alarmed, and the staff watched in disbelief. So the initial assessment suggests that the crashes may have been caused by signal interference. You don't say? I wonder who did that. Yes. Then you have a possibility of adverse weather conditions. I really don't think it was the weather that caused that. It was some type of signal interference. There are also theories circulating about potential use of anti-drone jamming devices, which might have inadvertently disrupted the drone's operations. Inadvertently? Really? Of course, it was an accident. We were just like, look, man, we accidentally pointed it the wrong way. I'm sorry about that. I didn't mean to. I was trying to point it this way, and it was an accident. Following the incident, recovery efforts were initiated to retrieve the fallen drones. Local authorities and villagers began searching for the lost equipment, with some individuals returning found drones to officials. Kai Guokang appealed for public assistance in locating the remaining drones. Luckily, no injuries reported. No injuries reported as a result of the incident. The performance was intended to be a visually stunning tribute, but turned chaotic due to technical failures. It was the weather. It was all this swamp gas that came in. It's the swamp gas. It's invasion of the swamp gas. Now, Lockheed Martin stocks took a bit of a hit. Quite a bit. I don't know why I'm showing you this, but I just thought I'd let you know. And crypto recently took a pretty big hit. Some people think it's time to buy. Some people think it's time to sell. I got crypto. I don't know about you, but I like the concept. You know, I like something that can be decentralized and still used and like Bitcoin is a really cool concept because you could have potentially $1 billion worth of Bitcoin. And as long as you have that code, then you've got access, right? Like that's your code. If you know your code, you're your own personal holder of that, but it's decentralized. So it's not one central unit that's holding that. Imagine trying to move $1 billion in cash. Like, what would that look like? How would you do that? How many $100 bills would that equate to? Or like, I'm a huge fan of gold and silver. I'm a huge fan of precious metals. Absolutely tangible. We go back to the ancient Sumerians and they were using gold and silver and precious metals. You can use gold and silver and precious metals to build stuff. And it's very, very valuable. I think it's great. It would just be more difficult to move $1 billion in gold versus $1 billion in Bitcoin. So when I think of Bitcoin, I'm thinking of the age of Aquarius. It's like, it's all in the air. It's in the ether, man. If you know it in your mind, you know your code. However, some people are concerned that with these quantum computers could break code of like a Bitcoin. So it could eventually figure out how to crack these codes and these keys. And that is definitely a potential possibility. Or what if something happens to all electronics in the world? Then how are you going to access your Bitcoin, right? So, I mean, I get the pros and cons. I think they're both equally as fascinating. I think they're both equally as important in different applications. I will say this, though. How much energy does it take to create Bitcoin? But then, how much energy does it take to mine metals? Like, we're refining these technologies, and we're becoming more efficient at the same time. So it just seems like it's a part of this process. We've got so many new forms of like exchange now that I think the future is bright. I think there's a lot of potential, folks. So like, let's focus on the bright side of things and let's be the change we want to see. Let's prepare for the worst, expect the best. Let's do something nice for somebody I need to go do something nice for somebody after this podcast. And have an open mind, yet not so open that your brain falls out on the sidewalk. It's so funny when I because I have some awesome gold sponsors, and like sometimes when I do a promo, I'll read a comment. You can't eat gold, Rex. Well, duh. Like, yeah, you need to have other stuff out there. I mean, don't like if you have no food, no money, but gold, and you're in the middle of the desert and you have no access to water. Like, I get it, but is that where you're at right now in your life? Come on, man, lighten up. Anyway, I'm just blabbing right now, and what do you have to say about that? How's everybody doing? Got some. Oh yeah. What do we got going on here? Who does? DCR says it's like one big commercial to sell drones during the Christmas season. Danny says you can eat gold. It's monatomic gold. Graham says Bitcoin is a permanent increasing energy sink. Ultimately, it has to fail because there's not enough energy in the universe to keep it going. Wow. Or we just have to come up with new forms of energy consumption and creation and figure out new ways to. That's why a lot of companies are like big business is looking into nuclear energy again. And I think that there's talks in reopening 3 Mile Island and other plants and creating new nuclear plants. And I'll tell you, I mean, it's intense. I think there's some other reactors they're working on with thorium. I don't know enough about this to tell you anything that's factual. I can just, give you my opinion on that, but and what I've read about it. But thorium reactors are supposed to be a lot less damaging to the environment if something was to happen versus a typical reactor like, Fukushima or 3 Mile Island. D says he's going to the food bank. Right on. A2Z says it renders drone detection devices useless against the drones that we're looking for. What are you referencing? Okay, the drones that we are looking for operating in frequencies that are not used in conventional drones. I do remember reading that. All right, have a beautiful day. Hit the bell, be well. Check us out on Patreon and be the change you want to see because you're amazing. And it starts with you.